Hi guys, welcome back to another Star Wars figure review. Next video we're taking a look back at some of the older lines in the Star Wars figures. I want to do a few more reviews regarding some of the older figures that have been released around time. And the one in question will be coming from, which was released back in 1999. As you've read by the title, it is indeed Captain Panaka, the commander of the Naboo Royal Security Guards in the Phantom Menace. Now, before we look at him properly, we'll take a look at the packaging that this one comes in. Now, I got picked this up at a toy fair in Gateshead Stadium recently. They have the Northern Toy Fairs, which they put out. They hold it at Gateshead Stadium a couple of times a year. They've already done one. I went to the one in December, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I picked up I picked up a handful of these figures in this packaging, and then I went back to another one in about the 12th of February. And I picked up a few more while I was there, and this one was being one of them. So I'll give you a look at a few of these that I've picked up from the toy fairs, and then I've been getting a few through eBay as well. I've been trying to expand on some of these in the collection because they weren't very much mass produced, and a lot of them are still readily available to get, and they're not like skyrocket worth in price at the minute. So it'd be nice to have a look at that. So of course we do get the classic Darth Maul look on the side. Of course, this did recently come into reissue in the Black Series with commemorative figures of Mace Windu, Jar Jar Binks, Battle Droid, and Qui-Gon Jinn, and then even more earlier, Darth Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that's there. And you do get the picture of Captain Panaka on the side, and the whole contact chip figures talk aspect of it there. And I will bring that up as the review goes on. But you do get a nice Star Wars Episode 1 look there. And on the back, you do get that whole little feature with the contact chip. Little bio there if you want to just pause and read that, and then of course there's a little bio there on the top as well as all the different phrases that this thing will say on the contact chip. And there's of course other figures that are available in this wave of lines. Some of these I've picked up, including there's Rick Ollie there. I picked him up, the pilot. Rune Hako I also picked up as well. Chancellor Valorum, I have managed to pick that one up too. So there's a few of those I've picked up in the line there that I'll be able to show off in future reviews here on the channel. So there's definitely some great ideas to have some of these figures that you've been able to pick up. Like I say, if you go to toy fairs, conventions, and even on eBay, you can get a few of these on the cheap. So they're really good to have a hold of. So now we'll take a look at the Comtech chip. So you did have to have a little reader to play these out, but you do get a nice picture of Captain Panaka on there with a little. And you also have the circuit board on the side there. That's kind of what helped make the figures talk. And on the back there, you do get a little bit of description on the character there. So that this does also make a nice little stand alternative. So you can stand, because there's a little peg on the top, and the figure can stand nicely on there. There's a peg on the bottom, and can be stood up on there. So it even makes for a good figure stand, even if you're not going to use it for the Comtech chip, because you were required to have, it was sort of like a Jedi Comlink device that you had there. So I never had that, since I didn't really collect these back in the 90s. No, but I mentioned back in the Shadows of the Empire review, my 90s toy knowledge for me for collecting 90s toys was Ertl Thomas and Friends. So, and that's nothing like that with me. So that's something there. But I have a memory that I think my cousin had it. So he showed it to me a few times in the past. So it's it's a very different thing. But we did they did sort of bring that back when the Last Jedi figures launched back in 2017. You had the Force Link. And then when Solo figures came out, you had Force Link 2.0, so it gave you a little extra feature for your action figures so they could talk. And I've done that before. Like the Force Link was even applied to some of the vehicles as well. You had, because I've got Kylo Ren's TIE Silencer and Tali Lintra's Air Wing and the Crate Speeder, and you can even make sounds through that. So that was always a great addition. But now we look at Captain Panaka himself, and this is actually like the one of only I think two times they released Captain Panaka in the line. Like they've never released him since 1999 as an action figure, which I think is a bit of a shock actually. I thought they would have given him maybe a 3D Force release, or even like the 10th anniversary back in 2009. I thought they'd have given him something in the Legacy collection, but they actually haven't. This is the only version of Captain Panaka really they've released, because the other one was just a release of a different style. So we do get this one is very much overdue a re-release, like whether it be Vintage Collection or anything like that. I'm surprised Vintage Collection didn't even reissue him when that came around, or Discover the Force in 3D. None of that was done. So yeah, it's still quite a callback to have this one when it comes to it. But it's really well sculpted for a 1999 figure. It's got the aspect of being the play feature that most Power of the Force figures had back in the time. It's the same sculpt style they had, apart from the beefed up muscles. They toned that down, but it's very much the same style of what we need from Power of the Force. It's got that play feature added to it, and a lot of the figures that I'll be giving you a look at from this Phantom Menace line will have that. It's much like the Shizo and Dash Rendar figures I gave you a look at last April in honour of 25 years of Shadows of the Empire. So this one's just for the sake of having it and giving a review. But it's really well nicely posed. It does go nicely on the shelves with the other Episode 1 figures. Of course, we do get a Royal Naboo blaster there. Of course, he does wield this one when they're in the Battle of Naboo. They're sort of running through the corridors of the palace and in an attempt to get up to the throne room. Of course, he does fire this at the window, so then he, Padme, and several other guards end up ascending their guns to get up to the top, and they use something like this to get up there. It does also come with an alternate blaster, this being a droid blaster, because of course there's a part earlier in the film where they're at the Naboo, when they're at Naboo and the Queen has been captured, and Panaka says get their weapons, so they use this instead. He uses this temporarily, so that can be posed in his hand as well. It does come in the packaging with this one separately, while the droid blaster is in his hand. So because his right hand is also his left hand, I mean, should I say, is posed to hold it. I'm just going to repose it so I can have him hold it in both hands, because it just takes a little bit of movement to do so. So there we go. So you can have him holding it like that, as though he's preparing battle there. But looking at this as a whole, like for a 1999 figure, it's still great. Like the colour scheme there, the nice blue and maroon sort of texture it has there, and just the sculpt for Captain Panaka's face. I mean, it's not massively great on Hugh Quarshpanaka, but then again, we don't have the hat is not removable, so you can't really get the full look for it there. Because he does seem to wear his cap quite regularly through the film. I know in Coruscant he has it off for a period, and he doesn't have it on when they're flying on the Nubian. But when he's on Naboo and he's outside on Tatooine, he does wear it. So I does stick there. So it was good to get my hands on this one at the Toy Fair, as I said there, and the next couple of ones that I'll be giving you a look at in the later reviews, because they're definitely worth showing off on the channel here. And there's a few other in this line of figures I actually want to get my hands on, just because of how much I just like the look of them. And they, even though they're not nostalgic to me, as I said, they're not really being a collector back in the 90s. They still have a nostalgic value to it, just getting figures from old times. I'm just replacing the blaster back with the Naboo pistol there, and it just really stands out. I'm holding him on the stand right there because I like the look of it. Articulation though, swivel head, swivel shoulders. There's a swivel sort of elbow joint here that they have on the right arm, whereas on the left it's a swivel forearm. It's got it's giving that whole holding the droid blaster in mind kind of thing. That's what it's sort of giving you the aspect of. But I like that you can at least turn if you don't really want to have him holding that one in two hands, so you can have him turn that and have it down, as said there. You also get the swivel waist and the swivel hips. No articulation in the knees or ankles, which is of course the standard of the 90s figures. We didn't really get much knee articulation when it came to that. There was a few figures that did, but it wasn't the ball hinge knees. It was just hinges at the knees, so you could just have them sit down as though they're sitting on a chest. These knees are sort of aimed in a sort of pose that they're ready to sort of battle in. But that's your typical 90s figure kind of thing, and it's always nice to have that. As I said, with the Shizo and Dash Rendar I have as well, it's great that, and a few of the Power of the Force figures I have knocking around, it's the same kind of thing. But this really does have its good aspect to it. Everything on it just really goes out well for a 90s figure. Again, be nice, Hasbro, if you're watching, if you gave us a new Captain Panaka for once, rather than something that we've already had loads of before. But this really does go well. Captain Panaka from the Phantom Menace line, really worthy buy. I'll leave a link to sort of eBay searches. You have a hunt around on there and see if you want it. I picked this one up for about £15 at the Toy Fair, so it's not too bad of a buy. I got this in one other figure that was going for 16, but the seller just said we'll call it 30 when I was buying it, so that was no problem for me there. I did nearly buy. There was a Naboo Royal Guard, which was seen on the back there. I did almost buy that as well to the end next to Watto there, but I opted just to go with this guy this time. So maybe at the future Toy Fair I'll get a Royal Guard and see what I do with that, or get a few other of these figures from this line, because it really is a good line to have a look at. Now I do have to give them praise for this packaging. It's sort of similar to the Power of the Force, but they've given it a Phantom Menace look to it, and it's nice to see it there rather than just the standard Black Series 6-inch Qui-Gon one I have. But there. So that is Captain Panaka from the Phantom Menace line. I enjoy looking at him. I do look forward to giving a look at some other figures from this line in the next couple of videos. So do subscribe and hit that notification bell to be able to see them. And I'll leave links to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram down there in the description below, so you can follow them, and then you can then find out when I've bought new stuff. So I'll see you next time, guys.